So I'm Jen. Jen's Nugget 420 on Instagram or Jen's Weed 420. Had a great time smoking with Road TV. If you have any questions or anything, just hit me up. Had a great time. Thank you so much.
Welcome back to My First Time, the show where our guests get to tell their story of the first time they got high on marijuana. I'm your host, Mike Freeman, and today I'd like to welcome our guest, Jenn from Jenn's Nuggets. How are you, Jenn?
Good. How are you, hon?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for coming on Drew TV today. You can find more of Jenn on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram at Jenn's Nugget 420. So Jenn, thanks again for giving us some time, and please let everybody know a little bit about where you're located and what you got going on.
So I am in Edgewater, Florida, which is close to Daytona. So I'm like 25 minutes from Daytona. I'm just south, East Coast. And I'm just here to share my experiences with you guys and help in any way possible. Help with whatever need you need, like learning how to use CBD and THC together. If you've never used certain products, and I have, I'm just here to tell you what I think and, just help out wherever I can and just share some of my experiences and just be
Awesome.
as helpful and productive as I can be in our community.
Sure. No, well, we appreciate people like yourself because there's lots of questions, and right now it's really based on other people's experiences. There's not a lot of
Right. There's no
studies
research
and
there.
everything else exactly. So we're glad people like you are out there. What you smoking on, Jenn?
Randy Watson, 710 Labs.
Ooh,
Yeah, it's delicious. It's
Randy
a
Watson.
yeah, it's Wedding Pie or Wedding Crasher and Runts. And Runts is one of my absolute favorites. It's what I was breaking up a minute ago.
Nice, awesome, great.
One of my favorite strains. Runts is really beneficial all the way around. Terpene profile is just incredible. The limonene, linalool is two of my favorites.
Great.
Absolutely love those two together, especially.
That's something you rolled up yourself. That's quite the spliff you got there.
Yeah, so I'm always prepared. I got this box from Move with the dart battery, and it's amazing because you could put a little rubber band around it or something, and it's usually packed full, but we're low right now. That's why we were working on more.
Okay, there you go. Awesome. So, Jenn, the show is My First Time, and we want to know about the first time you got high.
So there's a little backstory with my first time. Because I was introduced to cannabis and a lot of other drugs a lot sooner than most people are. And probably by the time I was 5 years old, I knew what a lot of this stuff was. As a matter of fact, my parents sold weed.
Okay.
And one time, funny story, they put a pound under my crib thinking that was a good place. So really my first time, I was 18 months old and I had gotten into that apparently. So my parents told me, and they got all but about a quarterback. So, I guess we know now that eating raw THC isn't going to affect you like we didn't know back then it would do. So my parents were a little freaked out, a little worried. But so like we had pot plants around the pool. So like I just grew up with it and I knew what it was. But I was probably 13 the first time I actually got my hands on some of my own. And it was from my mother's stash. First time and last time I ever did that. I took about a joint. I thought she wouldn't notice, wouldn't see that it was gone, but she totally did. And I went and stayed the night at my friend's house. We went out, we were staying out in this little tent out in the yard, and I guess we had properties. Should I hardly remember what the scenario was, but I remember we were in there and we just thought it was the coolest thing ever. We rolled up this joint. It was the worst joint you'd ever seen, but we rolled it up and we smoked it and just had a fucking hell of a time out there. I got my ass in a lot of trouble for doing that because, like I said, my mom caught at me and she found out that I had sold her weed and she sat me down and told me, we don't do that. That's a big no-no in this house. So like I was introduced to it early, and that's just one thing that I've always gravitated to was cannabis. I have drank, but I don't drink anymore. I'm not a big drinker at all, really. Cannabis is an amazing plant. And if we would have known back then what we know now, I don't know that I would have done any other things in my lifetime. I probably would have just stuck with cannabis because it's medicine. And I've always felt like it's been helpful. Even from that first time when I smoked it, because I've had anxiety my entire life. Like right now, I'm shaky, it's literally what drives me every day is the anxiety. So from that first moment that I smoked weed, I was like, this is amazing. Like it just slowed me down. It just helped me kind of focus and not feel like, what do I gotta do? Where are we going? What are we doing? Like it just kind of brings me down to it. This is nice. I can just relax and enjoy myself, and I've always loved it. And so since that moment, it's just been something I've never left. The state made me leave it for a
Sure.
long time. But then once it was legalized, the reason I became a patient was because I was on 16 pharmaceuticals a day. And my doctor, I was going into like TIA episodes, literally just passing out, going down the street. Um, Go to the doctor, get epilepsy, seizure test, all these tests, because we don't know what's going on with me. And it was the pharmaceuticals interacting, with each other. He said, you need to become a cannabis patient. And I said, where have you been my whole life? Like, my primary doctor won't even do this for me. So he got me onto cannabis about 4 years ago now. And this is, I got off of all of those pharmaceuticals. I was on absolutely none for a short period of time. But recently I've had some health issues that have, had to add a few into my arsenal. But for the most part, I just use cannabis, and I just encourage everybody to use cannabis and talk about their first time and why they continue to use it and what benefits they get from it, so that we can help the next person and the next generation hopefully not be addicted to pharmaceuticals like a lot of our generations are.
Right. Now,
Absolutely important.
when you were on 16 different medications, were you consuming cannabis at all, or were you trying to?
Well, yeah, I used cannabis like recreationally
Right. Okay.
because it wasn't legal, but I would use it, but I wasn't able to obtain it as frequently and as often as I wanted. And you didn't know anything about strains and terpenes and like all these things that we learn about now becoming patients, because that is how you treat yourself, is by figuring out what works and what things work for you. So yeah, I was using cannabis a little bit, but not as frequently. Like when I got the green light to just use cannabis, I started deleting medications. Doctors given me a hard time about it because you shouldn't quit taking thyroid and cholesterol medication, but I quit those and then tested fine. And I'm like, so see, you wouldn't have wanted me to come off of those to even do that test. And I just took the liberty to do it myself. If I needed them, then okay, fine, I'll take them. But if I don't want it. If I don't need it, it's not life saving, please just let me use this.
Right. Now, what was I going to ask you? When did you decide that this is something you want to help other people and start the Instagram and?
As soon as I knew it was becoming legal to us, like it changes the whole game. It changes the whole dynamic of things, because now we can help others get access to it. They can go become a patient and then learn from there. Like I said, before that, my son's a patient, my mom's a patient, my father, before he passed last year, had just become a patient, and my ex was a patient. Like we're all just about using cannabis as medicine. And when my daughter decides that she needs to address some of the things that she does, she maybe will step up. When we have her on CBD right now, we use doses of that just to kind of help her, but she's not interested in smoking. And I'm like, that's okay. But when you do, let me know, and I'm here to help you 100%. And so as soon as I learned that cannabis we were going to have access to it, and everybody can have access to it if they, have conditions that qualify for it, it was just something that I knew I wanted to do. I wanted to be here to just help everybody. I have people in my DMs all the time, just like, have you tried this strain? Or what do you think about that? And I'm like, yeah, or no, or why, whatever it is on the situation. I just feel like if I can help you not make a mistake or help you, lean towards a product that would be helpful for you, then, I just want to let you know about that. I'm not, just want to help people. I just want to help others understand what you can do with this, not just, there's such a stigma against it. It's been drilled in our heads our whole lives that this is like the devil's lettuce. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's exactly what they made us believe. And it's the opposite. And just opening people's eyes to that is incredible. And then when people do it for their first time and then they come back to you and they say, thank you so much for that direction and helping me with that product, you just feel good. And you just feel like you've done your part to help in society. And if I can do one little part for a few people, I feel like, I'm doing good.
No, that's great. Now, you said you became a patient in 2018. That's when it first became
2019. I was
2019?
February 2019. So yeah,
Okay.
just over. Yeah.
So you were an early medical
I thought I
marijuana
was
patient.
late to the game. I
Okay.
was like, well, I did because my doctor had started prescribing it. Excuse me. But told me that I didn't qualify. But what he actually did was put me into a category to qualify by over medicating me. When I look at my statements, like I went and got my health records, it said that I was on 36 different medications within a
Wow.
12-year period. That's a lot.
Mm,
And I'm like, what is wrong? This is what's wrong. Like, this is what's wrong with us right now is we have these doctors and then they have people coming in and they're like, push this medication for this. And then you come in and you're like, I'm dealing with this. And they're like, oh, you need that. And then once you're on that, that causes another problem. Next thing you know, they're giving you another one. And that's exactly what happened. Like I was on a couple medications and then it was like, whoa. My ex-husband was literally asking me like, what is wrong with you? Are you on drugs? Are you taking something you're not supposed to? And I'm like, absolutely not, so that's why it led to the seizure and epilepsy test, a lot of stuff to figure out that it was actually the pharmaceuticals. And that was eye-opening. That to me was the inspiration in itself to help my kids use this before they pick up a bottle of medications from anybody. And that's why my son's a patient. I mean, he's going to be 21 here in January. He's been a patient for over 2 years now. And I'm just very proud of that. I'm proud of him hopefully never using it. And he has scoliosis and he has a heart murmur, you know what I mean? So he has a lot of issues. He's 6'3" and like 135 pounds. So he's just a tall, skinny kid that is, just wanting some relief from the pain and stuff that he's dealing with. And this has been able to help him. And that just makes me happy because I was hooked on pharmaceuticals for, a while, and that wasn't a very good place to be. So I don't ever want to see anybody in that situation, never less my kids.
right.
So that's my drive, just that whole not wanting that for our future.
Sure. And I think that's also part of the reason why it's not legal everywhere is the pharmaceutical companies.
Had their
There's so
hands in it
much
everywhere.
control and power. I think they have the most lobbyists of any industry. And
Mm-hmm. It's
whether they're
scary.
whether they're trying to figure out their way, I mean, I think it's both. I think they're trying to figure out their way that they can get
Get
involved
in this.
in the industry.
Yes, I
At the
agree.
same time, also slow it down and regulate it to the point where if you can't get all the medicine you want from cannabis, then maybe you do
You
have
have
to go
to.
back to a doctor and get something else. And
Well,
um,
there is a need for some medications. Like
sure.
I understand that,
But a lot of
like the
medications,
thyroids, cholesterol, thyroid medication, like I
sure.
get that stuff, but the pain medications, I'm bipolar, like that's my disability. And I have been able to not take any medications that treat depression for 3 years now almost,
Mhm.
so like as soon as I could drop, like I just started dropping one by one, And then I was none. I was on Xanax for like 15 years to go to sleep every night, bars, like a large amount of these medications. And I was like, how am I ever going to go without it? Like, how am I going to sleep at night if I can't have this to go to sleep? Well, RSO, that's how. I just started taking RSO every night and I completely ditched Xanax. So like it can be done. And I encourage people to just cautiously monitor themselves when they're trying to do that, because you can do it. You don't need your doctor's help. You have full control of yourself and what you're putting into your body. So if you start using things that are a little harder, like the RSO, that's a stronger cannabis medication that we have, and so you can take that at night to really knock yourself out and go to sleep. And that was amazing. Like that was life changing for me, and
Yeah,
I
and
want to bring that experience to others.
a lot of medication, it's not designed for you to take it the rest of your life. I mean,
Right.
if something's prescribed to you, well, what caused that problem in the first place? Maybe we should be figuring out what
Addressing
caused
that.
the problem rather than
Hmm.
just putting a 20-year band-aid on something that's gonna cause another problem down
Right.
the road.
And they are all band-aids. Like even my thyroid, like I said, like I did go off of the thyroid medication, but then I've had health issues, recently. I had I get rare stuff like thoracic outlet syndrome. I had my first rib removed last November. I had
Wow.
eye surgery in March because my lens dislocated from cataracts I was born with. It's like the list is on and on and on, right? I just had bladder surgery. I have two more surgeries in the next 2 months to go through. So like cannabis has just made a difference in the amount of medications I have to take altogether. But I did come off of like even the thyroid medication for a couple of years. But I feel like, and this is the God's honest truth, with these things I've been dealing with physically that have put me back on other medications like ibuprofens and stuff like that, it seems to have like a chain reaction with my whole system. Like my whole body does change. Then I'm like, my thyroid's going out of whack. My hair was falling out, which is probably a lot of the procedures, going under anesthesia, I'm sure is playing a toll too. But I have to take all that into consideration. And like you said, they are trying to control it. I'm convinced that they've slowed the progress so that they can figure out how to elevate, before they open the floodgates. That's why it hasn't been federally legalized, because they don't know how to, like, how are we going to get the most money? That's what they're looking at. We just want the benefits that the medicine has to offer, and a little cheaper rates would be nice. So because people like myself with disability, it gets expensive. But like we I would rather pay that for my life
Sure.
than to let my insurance even cover it. So, that's how I feel. And that I want that to be something that we are working towards and fighting for.
Yeah. I
And I want
think
to do my part.
I think money and also control.
Oh, absolutely. Those
They
are,
don't want you to be able to grow one, two,
I
10
know.
plants. They want to be able to control how much you're supposed to consume,
I
where
know that has gotten
you,
ridiculous.
yeah.
These limits are insane. And then I went through, that was a whole rigmarole with the doctors, trying to get those limits increased, because we only increased one, and then she went to increase all the rest of them when all that changed, and then it decreased another. And I'm like, what is happening? We had to submit like four things, and it's a headache. Those are things I'm here to help with also. Like if you're in my area, I can point you in the direction of where to go and get your, medicine, and have the doctor there for you. And it's all I want to do is just be here to help the next generation and bettering ourselves for our planet in the end.
Right. Now, from the time you became a patient till today, what are some of the positive changes you've seen and even some of the negative changes?
Um, well, it's mostly positive. My whole mindset, things you want to do, the interests you have. I was actually speaking to my niece yesterday, Thanksgiving, and explaining, she was like, do people lose weight when you use cannabis? And I'm like, how do you think I lost 100 pounds? I dropped all of those pharmaceuticals. Like I literally lost 100 pounds. I dropped all those pharmaceuticals, started using cannabis. People look at us like, you eat all the time, you always have the munchies. And I'm like, but your mindset changes. The things you want to do changes like doing yoga or eating watermelon instead of ice cream, because of course watermelon's great for cotton mouth and it's really juicy and yummy, because who doesn't like watermelon usually,
Sure.
like watermelon's great. But so like there's a lot of benefits to just changing your mindset all the way around, and it really just changes your whole health system, because it's like your cravings change with what you're feeding your body. You're feeding your body a plant instead of shit pharmaceuticals. And so your body's like, I want watermelon instead of ice cream. It's the same thing. You just like, it's the same thing. It's just how I feel like it works personally.
Right. So any what I meant by changes was going in and out of a dispensary, seeing different patients, dealing and talking with different people. What are some of the positive
Oh,
and negative changes you've seen since you became a patient yourself?
just in the industry, like with our
Yeah.
dispensaries and stuff.
Yeah, whether it's from the medicinal standpoint, I know they just lowered the rates in Florida, or the quantity that you can consume.
Yeah, so like, well, I mean, I've seen a lot of changes in like the dispensaries themselves, like from people that were here then when I came onto the scene who are kind of like they're shifted, the roles are shifted. Some of the dispensaries have really upped their games. We're really getting a lot of decent products at the right places. I hear a lot of negative talk about some of the dispensaries and the products available to you, and I'm like, open up, branch out, look at Google and figure out where is close to you, what dispensary you haven't been to or place you haven't been to, and go there and try a product that you wouldn't normally try, because that's the only way you're going to get out of your funk. If you're not happy where you're at, just get up and make a change. And I've had to do that a few times, and I go back and forth. And as far as the patients, we've grown. We've grown a whole lot. Like I think we had 2,000 patients, 200,000 when I got on. That's why I was like, I'm late to the scene. But now we're at over 500 something thousand patients in just our state. We've had a lot of other states follow suit and do even more with the legalization. We need to open up our doors for medicinal and recreational use, and I know that that's going to be tough, but I think that it's not far from us, and I don't think we're far from the whole country going green. We just need more people like ourselves, like with what you're doing, just showing people that the first time isn't always scary. It's not always a bad scary experience. Like some people have that, and that's okay, because like you didn't take the right dose, and maybe you didn't know what you had, maybe it wasn't from a dispensary. Like just make sure that you are cautious the next time. I always tell people the best time to do it's at night, like before bed, because
Sure.
then you're in a safe place, and if you need to go to bed, you can go to bed. You're right there. That's the best time to ever try anything the first time, if you're just not sure about RSO, especially because you do hear some stories with that one.
Sure.
That one, you definitely start low, go slow for everybody. Always very, very small before you get on the big train. But yeah, I've seen a lot of improvements in our qualities of flowers, but I have had to shift around to do that. It's not always same dispensary. You'll see a lot of fluctuations. I like True Leaf in a sense, but only for certain things. Sometimes they are the Walmart of dispensaries. Recently, I've had a really good experience with 710 Labs. Flowery, their products are decent. Move is incredibly up their game and are doing a lot of really good promotions lately. Even today, they have half off, which is nice. Uh, um, I'm actually going to Liberty for the first time after this, because I got a 10 pack of RSO because it's half off. So that's the best time to go get it. Um, and so that'll be cool. I mean, I may grab a couple other things while I'm there, but nothing on the website just kind of jumped out at me for the moment. But I've seen a lot of good and bad, but I think more positive. I think there's way more positive. The age groups that you see is surprising sometimes, but makes me just smile. It makes my heart smile to see that 60-year-old going into the dispensary and getting their weed, like
Sure.
I am so proud of us as humans for fighting for this and for getting it and just getting as far as we are. I mean, it sucks that we don't have it as available as a lot of us, experienced people need, because we do use a little more because we're using a lot more. I tell people it's like an antidepressant. You kind of have to go up on your doses sometimes. It's the same. People get afraid to use it for the first time because they're like, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, but you'll take that pill and you have no idea what that pill's going to do to you either. But you're like, okay, doc, but what is the difference?
Sure.
Like, this is so much safer. If this is the first thing you're going to do, please let this be it. Like, I mean, and if it really doesn't, then go talk to your doctor.
Right.
But if it, I mean, like, because I understand that some people may need a little extra, but I think that it's just incredible. It's really, I'm proud of us for coming this far. So I hope to see a lot more happening in the next year, come election time.
Right.
2023, hopefully we'll see some changes then, but I know there's no guarantee. So I'm fighting the good fight out here and signing the petitions and breaking the stigmas.
Right. Hey, everybody, I want to quickly mention food forest abundance. Food forest abundance is a great way to create your own self-sustaining food forest and naturally occurring ecosystem that's commonly found in nature, but designed specifically for you. Through multiple layers of trees, shrubs, herbs, vines, rhizomes, mushrooms, and perennial vegetables, you can become your own supply chain without the typical maintenance required of a garden. From small spaces to large areas, both urban and suburban, Food Forest Abundance wants us to get back to our roots in nature by engaging with our food production in a meaningful way. For more information, click on the link in the description below and start your journey today. Okay, let's get back to today's episode. I've got one more question for you, Jen. When you consume, it seems like you're a flower girl. Do you partake in edibles, concentrates?
Everything. I
Okay.
have topicals, edibles. I don't have any they're over there by my dresser. I've been saving my edibles for when I'm in the hospital.
Okay.
Because that's the best way I can use those. But I use everything: flower, edibles, RSO, dabs. But I am a flower girl. I like a joint, just a good old fashioned joint. I'm solid. I keep those on me all the time. But I do use everything because I feel like you need to. Because if you don't feel like you're getting the relief from smoking the joint, you can try a dab because it'll hit a little harder, and it'll just kind of relax you a little more. And then if that's not working, get out the topical, put it on, like, so sometimes there's a process, but that's why we're doing what we're doing, is to help the next person understand what they can do next. And of course, CBD is your rescue medicine, right? So always keep CBD with you, because people that, especially their first time, if you're going to try it, always have CBD. I just recommend it because I've been with people that are like, oh my God. And I'm like, hold on, here you go, try this. And then they're like, oh my God, thank you. That's better. Like, it just kind of brings you down to where you feel like you're okay again, and it's not so scary. And that's just important. And a lot of people don't know that. They think just sometimes the only medicine is a munchie or a nap, but it's not. Sometimes you can just take some CBD and that'll rectify the whole situation.
Right.
I'm an everything girl. I believe in using every product in any way you need to, like edibles for the hospital or travel or things like that. I'm always medicated in some way or form.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you, Jen. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and some of your experiences being a patient here in the state of Florida. Let everybody know where they can follow you.
Jenn's Nugget 420. Jenn's Weed 420 is my backup on Instagram. The Highest Community in Florida also is one of my pages. That is on Facebook and Instagram. Jenn's Nugget 420 is pretty universal: Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, and then Jennifer Shepherd on Facebook. You're welcome to follow me and ask questions. I'm always here to help.
Awesome. And if you like this episode, make sure you go down and smash the like button and leave a comment for Jen. Maybe you're a patient as well. You have some questions, or maybe you're looking to become a patient and you have some questions. Drop those down in the comments. And make sure you're subscribed to Dro TV, because you don't want to miss more great guests and interviews like this one with Jenn. So thank you, Jenn.
Like and follow. Yes.
And that's it for today's episode. We appreciate everybody tuning in. And as always, smoke them if you got them. What's up, Dro TV family? You can now stream the audio version of all these episodes on your favorite podcast player. And if you like more episodes like this, check out this playlist we put together over here for you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube. You don't want to miss more great content from Dro TV. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, smoke them if you got them.